Good morning, Nick.
Morning.
I work very hard every day. I go out and pay my taxes, and I pay for my child's lunch when he goes to school. Why do you think it's fair that I should also pay now for the lunch of other people's children?
Well, what's going to happen is the government is going to pay for your child's lunch and everybody's who is at the first few years at infant school. Look, the reason...
No, they're not going to pay for mine. He's not at infant school anymore. And you say the government, but it's me, I'm a taxpayer. You seem to be living in cloud cuckoo land. When you say the government's paying for this, or the government's paying for that, or the government's paying for these green initiatives, or the government's paying for whatever... It's me, Nick. I'm a taxpayer.
Sure. Everybody is, Andrew, and what we do in our country, and indeed in all civilised societies, we decide there are certain things that we all pool money together from our taxes to give people certain forms of support and assistance. And I think not only myself, but many people feel that the evidence is overwhelming that if you give kids at the moment... But remember, by the way, I've heard some of these criticisms, particularly from people on the right, saying, it's a complete waste of money to give money to people who don't need it. 4 out of 10 children in poverty do not receive free school meals today. They are the children which will benefit the most if we give those young children in those first precious years at school the ability to have a healthy hot meal at lunchtime, to sit down and have lunch together. And the places where this has been piloted, in places like Newham here in London and in Durham in the north of the country, have shown that not only it has health benefits, it also closes the attainment gap between bright but poor kids and less bright but wealthier kids. It also saves families who are shelling out over £400 a year to pay for those lunch costs for their children.
What about the lunch costs of my child? Well, he's not in Key Stage 1 anymore. Well, what about my child? I just feel as though you and your sort just want to bleed me dry for all these... And I don't doubt they're good causes, Nick. And, my heart's with you.
But Andrew, say that to someone who's really struggling to pay, let's say, £900 if they've got 2 children at infant school at the moment. Someone on a low income where their children don't... No, but hang on, Andrew. You're making... Let
£16,000 now. Andrew, I will bring you back in. I've just got to let Mr. Clegg. He will come back, Mr. Clegg.
Andrew, you're making quite a sort of pungent allegation that somehow this is not going to help parents and families who need help. There are thousands upon thousands of parents who are really hard-pressed, who are having to pay £900 a year, which is what they have to do if they have 2 children at infant school, and there are many families in that category who don't receive free school meals. If you're basically saying to them, Andrew, that I as a politician should turn around and say, no, we don't care about your plight, and we're not going to try and help you with those lunchtime costs, well, you're free to make that argument. It's not one that I believe in. And by the way, today...
You're putting words in my mouth.
What?
I'm not saying that at all. If that's the case, raise the threshold for free school meals from £16,000 joint income. If that's the case, I'm not saying that we shouldn't pay for the meals of children who can't afford to eat. I'm not saying that at all. Have the sensible policy and raise the threshold for free school meals.
But what we let me read out. There's a guy called John Vincent. You know those Leon restaurants.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Leon chain of restaurants.
He did a review for the Department for Education. About this whole issue, about school meals and so on. And he said, and I'll just read out very quickly, if I may, Andrew, what he said. He said, look, we spent a year analysing food in schools from every angle. Free school meals for all children, in this case in infants classes, benefits all children and especially the poorest children. Children will do better at school, be healthier, and the taxpayer will spend less on fixing diabetes and other diseases caused by bad diet. So, look, you seem to sort of think it's at some sort of politician's whim, Andrew, to do this. We've had people look at this very carefully, in this case John Vincent, over a year. There are educational benefits because it closes that so-called attainment gap that opens up very, very early on in our school system. It saves
people money. How do you know that?
Well, because in the places where we've piloted this, Newham is one place, Durham is another, it's actually shown that by having a healthy hot meal every lunchtime, children concentrate better in the afternoon, and it particularly helps those children from lower income families who presently don't get a free school meal. So I think there are health reasons, there are cost of living reasons, and there are educational reasons why this is a great thing to do. I understand it is controversial with some people, but I passionately believe that in the years to come, this will be a very, very big progressive change that most families across the country will welcome.
Final point from you, Andrew.
Then make it applicable to Key Stage 2 as well. It's just...
Oh, no, sure, that's a different matter, Andrew.
It seems as though this is a kind of half-baked policy. and it's you seem to think that I don't earn that much money, and I've got to pay for my son's school meals.
I get from the Deputy Prime Minister he'd love to make it available for all children, but it's...
I would love to make it available for all children.
On the subject, thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much indeed. Look forward to speaking with you again. So on the subject of costs, it's reported today this scheme, Deputy Prime Minister, will cost taxpayers an extra £150 million than was first expected. Where's that cash come from?
So the £150 million is for a very specific thing, which is that there are some schools which don't have kitchens which are properly equipped or large enough to provide those free school meals to everybody. So clearly there's no point having this policy if you don't give the schools the money to improve their kitchens. We estimate that'll cost about £150 million. We've been in touch with the local authorities and others.
So where's that money come from?
Well, that's £80 million of it is coming from the Treasury, and £70 million is coming from an underspend on maintenance and the maintenance budget of the Department for Education.
And yet it's reported in the paper, but these are only sources. One paper, there was no underspend. This money was allocated to build new schools. There will now be a shortage of pupil places as a result of extra spending. Says a source, I hasten to add.
Look, that's complete nonsense. Clearly, I mean, look, I don't read all this sort of...
Incorrect.
It's factually entirely incorrect.
Okay.
The Chancellor and myself have agreed and hammered out, and I don't want to sound too grand about this, but I think when the Chancellor and the Deputy Prime Minister agree on something, it's something which will happen across government, whatever some unnamed source says in a particular department, that we need this £150 million to provide schools with the kitchens they need to provide these free school meals to all infant school children. £80 million of it comes from the Treasury, from general expenditure, £70 million from this underspend on the maintenance budget, not on basic need, because that would be wrong to take the money away from the basic needs of other schools.
And here's the thing I don't understand, and we must move on to another caller. So I'm going to, through my taxes, subsidise Wayne Rooney's children when they go to school. A man who makes nearly £200,000 a week, and I'm going to buy his child school lunch.
No, but listen, you can, in a sense,
Seems strange.
Well, yes, your taxes pay for Wayne Rooney's child to be treated in the NHS. Your taxes pay for Wayne Rooney's pension, state pension. At some level in society, we agree, don't we, all of us, that the common pot in which we put our taxes can provide, in some cases, a universal benefit to everybody.
Millionaires' children.
Well, look, if you want, we can say that millionaires are not allowed to step foot in an NHS hospital. If you want, we can say that they can never receive a state pension. We decide as a society there are certain things that everybody is eligible to. By the way, not least because the administrative cost of excluding actually a rather comparatively small number of people from those benefits would far outweigh the satisfaction of having done so. What the evidence shows is actually the children that would benefit the most are these 4 out of 10 children who live in poverty but presently don't get free school meals. And I would suggest they are more important in all of this, and their parents who'll be saved over £400 a year are more important than this, than whether Wayne Rooney's children benefit or not.